Hi. Let's put a... I like that one. Yeah. That's a bit better. Hi. Hi. Hello. I'm a little bit late, but that's okay. Max is busy watching the Euro final. Hi. So, my plan is to read, and then I'm gonna save it and then put it up on my YouTube. I'm very awkward, I'm very sorry. And my cats are joining me. Also, if you can hear screaming in the background, it's... So I'll just wait a little bit before I start reading, just to see if anyone else is gonna come. And if not, I guess you can find it on my YouTube. You look mad comfy. Thank you. It's winter here. It's very cold. It's freezing. The heater doesn't work. So I have to do what I have to do, and my office is like an ice block. I do have a YouTube, yes. You can find it in the link in my bio, or under everything. I'm 𝚁𝚎𝚊𝚍 under everything. Okay, so I think the way that I'm going to do this, last time I did this, I recorded a video and I put it up on my YouTube, but the whole idea with the Instagram Live is that we can interact with the books and talk about the books and have it be a more interactive experience. But then the problem was that the video was too long for Instagram, so I had to put it up on my YouTube, and that's why I decided to try live and see if it works a little bit better. So the whole read with Kara is literally just me reading the first chapter of a book, and you can put me on in background noise as like ASMR. I have no idea. Do whatever you want, or we can use it to be productive together. My whole plan for this was that because it's Sunday now where we are, and when Monday comes around I get very anxious. Mondays make me very nervous. I keep joking that it's like PTSD from working in customer service, and only I find it funny. So my whole idea was to spend just a few minutes reading the first chapter of a book, discussing the book, talking about predictions, and just like relaxing before we go into the new week. So yeah, I think that's it. Max picked today's book, or tonight's book rather, because it's 10 o'clock at night. He picked Dead Writers in Rehab by Bassest Davies. I bought it a few years ago. I've never read it, although there is a bookmark in here, but I can't remember anything about this book. So I think we're going to start the first chapter from the back. There's a cat here now. Excuse you? What are you doing? Messing up my bookshelves. So from what I understand, a man dies. Maybe, I don't know. I have to read it when I find out. But let's just read the first chapter together. That way I can practice not being a complete total dork. Oh, wonderful. See, this is another problem. I don't swear. It's very rare that I swear. The only time I really swear is when I drive, and even then it's like, oh, you're such a box. It's very, very rare that I swear. And even in the current read that I'm reading now, which is The Black Cube by, I know her name, by Nicole. Give me a sec. Hi, I'm back, sorry. I'm currently reading The Black Cube. It's from 𝚁𝚎 Publishing by Nicole. I want to show you the cover. It's really, really pretty. Oops. Yeah. Cover. So this is what I'm currently reading, and I'm really enjoying it so far. What I like about it is that there's swearing and stuff, which, back to my topic, is that I don't swear at all, so I feel like I get my juices out by reading and writing people that do swear. And my current predicament is that they're swearing on this first page. So I'm just going to have to hope my good Christian mother and family doesn't watch this. Or just ignore the swearing. Do whatever. I know why the caged bird sings. But that pigeon outside my room at 4 in the morning. What the fuck is his problem? Wait. Outside what room? And how do I know it's 4 in the morning? All I really know is that it's very dark. The darkness persisted. Perhaps I'd gone blind, which had happened before. Sometimes I just assume I'd gone blind when there was another reason why I couldn't see anything. On one occasion, several years ago, I opened my eyes to what seemed like darkness, but it was in fact a light so bright it was black. After a moment, I realized I was lying on my back in a field looking up into the sun. Birds were singing and the meadow around me smelled sweet. I stood up carefully, checking for broken glass, and looked around. It was a lovely midsummer day, somewhere in England. I was wearing a white tuxedo and a green bow tie. I appeared to be completely alone in the open, rolling countryside. Then I caught a faint bark of laughter and made out some little figures in the far distance, loading things into the back of a big truck. There must have been a road there. I set off through the wild grass that swished gently at my knees. I knew I was about to undergo a brutal transformation as my senses came to their senses. Sure enough, a thundering brandy and cocaine hangover. Wow, that's one hell of a hangover. One hell of a combo, actually. Sure enough, a thundering brandy and cocaine hangover, one of the meanest of the tribe, erupted inside of me like an enraged alien fetus. Once the pain had settled into an agonizing throb, data began to assemble itself. I'd been at a wedding reception in the grounds of a big manor house that was presumably not far away, tucked into an undulating landscape, probably just over a slight rise to my left. There had been marquees and a stage with lighting and a PA system, which was probably what was being loaded into the truck in the distance. It was my first publisher's second wedding. He was a Canadian who hit the UK just in time to surf the 1980s alternative comedy boom and help some of the performers understand they can make a lot of money from a cheap book and still be terrifically alternative. Now, having divested himself of his first wife, the word outgrown was used earnestly by him, mordantly by her. He was marrying the posh, well-connected woman he'd been living with for a while. She was a nice, sensible type, pretty in a wispy blonde English way, but not as sexy as his. I hate that word. It might just be me. I hate the word sexy. I have no idea why. It's kind of like how people feel about the word moist. Yeah, so how people feel about the word moist, I feel about the word sexy. I just don't like it. But not as sexy as his personal assistant, who wasn't a sensible type. She was the one he did drugs with, and another swear word, and fucked in hotels when they went into the literary festivals, together. But he was an ambitious player in a fundamentally conservative industry, and when it came to getting married, he made the obvious choice. The sexy assistant spent half the party in tears and the other half with me, doing coke in various places, the last of which was an elaborate temporary structure housing the women's toilets. Like everything else at this wedding reception, it was the best that money could buy, and it was cleaner and more attractive than any of the flats I'd lived in. We ended up in one of the cubicles where she decided it was time for us to fulfill a sexual promise that had always simmered between us, despite her being in love with her boss. We were just getting into it when she changed her mind and decided that one more good light session of hysterical crying would do the trick for her. A guy we both knew was passing the toilets and heard her. He came and found us half-dressed, me trying to dry off my clothes, her in disarray as she sank to the ground, howling with the guy who'd always fancied her himself, chose to interpret it as trauma caused by my unwelcome sexual advances. I didn't remember much after that except for some shouting. In the morning, as I trudged through the field, I wondered what would happen when I got back to London. Nothing much, as it turned out. For a while, I got a few more pitying looks than usual, but at that stage I was pretty much immune to anything more than nuanced than a punch in the face. Why was I now thinking about that incident from 20 years ago? I have a tendency to relate everything that happens to me to some specific disaster in the past. My third book was called Everything Reminds Me of Something Bad. It had been inspired by an experience I was having at the time with meat. I still have it. I always line my grill pan with tin foil, and certain types of meat, especially lamb chops, produce a cloudy yellow fat that pools in the tin foil in a way that reminds me of free base cocaine and heroin if it's pure enough. Will liquefy when you chase it down the strip of foil with a lighter under it. For 2 or 3 years after I'd given up drugs for the final time, the trigger was so powerful that I had to call my sponsor at NA, who was a sweet, long-suffering man. After a while, he got used to it, and if I called him any time after 6 in the evening, he'd pick up the phone and ask me how the lamb chops were doing. Triggers. There's always something, even if you're not conscious of it. And now I thought I knew why the memory of that wedding reception had been playing out in my mind so vividly. Even though I was still in the dark, literally and metaphorically, I was convinced that whatever room or place I woke up in was somewhere in the countryside. that pigeon outside wasn't a pigeon, it was a dove. So this dude's got issues, clearly. So I honestly have no idea what this book is about. I bought it in 2017 because addiction and stuff is something that I deal with in my series. And I don't know, I just wanted to read someone's take on it, but not an autobiography. So I enjoyed it. I haven't checked reviews or anything. I know it's kind of like a indie publishing job kind of thing. There's a letter here to the readers that say it was possible because of this one company. I'll tell you about it because I thought it was quite interesting. Here we go. It was funded directly by readers through a new website called Unbound. Unbound is the creation of 3 writers. They started the company because they believed there had to be a better deal for both writers and readers. On the Unbound website, authors share ideas on the books they want to write directly with readers. If enough of you support the book by pledging for it in advance, we produce a beautifully bound special subscribers edition, and it distributes a regular edition and ebook wherever books are sold in shops and online. So it is kind of like an indie publishing thing, and I thought that was very interesting. And yeah, I might read it after I read The Black Cube. I am very sorry that I messed up the name. I'm so awful with names, but my brain is like telling me that it's Nicola and Nicole, and I'm honestly so dumb. I don't even think it's either of that. And now I'm gonna publish this live, and that's terrible. And I promise I don't know where I was going with this thought. I'm very tired. So thank you for joining me. I'll see you next time. Bye.